Good morning, everybody. Don't have my fancy intros. I could do a fancy intro. I don't have a fancy intro. I can't do a fancy intro. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a mobile edition of Master the NEC. The reflection, the day after. We did some training last night. Hopefully y'all joined me. If you haven't listened to my podcast before, this is the morning commute. It's just a mobile podcast. Obviously, I have tons of other podcasts that have all kinds of things about code, the Let's Ask Paul, all kinds of training. Don't go listening to just the latest ones. Dig back into the archives and listen to a bunch of the older ones. All kinds of topics on just about anything, and they're all still relevant. So check them out. Sometimes you'll even see some of them that have my opinions in there, and I try to leave those out, but there are some in there, so check them out. We're coming up on the holiday season, and I want to thank everybody that's listened to our podcasts. And y'all all know I'm not about the clicks on the social media, so I don't care about the numbers, but I do care about the fact that I do get emails from people that do listen and watch, and I appreciate you. We enjoy putting them out. As I told you, in 2024, it's getting a little bit more formal in how we're producing our videos. So again, I've kind of alluded to that, but you'll see it. The fast track system is going to be brought to life, that type of thing. But anyway, last night we did some training. So if you're listening to this podcast and you didn't attend our last night's training, or you didn't get a notice about it, that it probably means that you're not subscribed to get the notification from our YouTube channel. Or our Facebook, again, whether you're on the Master the NEC or any of our private groups or whatnot. But we also streamed last night to Rumble as well. And I think we streamed to Instagram, but you can only watch it from your phone when it's live. And who wants to watch it in that little vertical platform for 2.5 hours, right? I mean, I wouldn't want to watch it for 2.5 hours. So I probably won't use Instagram much. But if you're wanting to learn the National Electrical Code a little bit better, maybe you're not studying for an electrical exam, but maybe you just want to learn the code. Check out our videos, and it's over on our YouTube channel. It will be moved to the Fast Tracks tube exclusively very shortly, but it is available for you to go watch now. So I encourage you to go watch it. It is, again, about 2.5 hours of me going in depth about single-family dwelling calculations. And I covered just about everything, but I did have some people ask some questions that I wanted to elaborate more on this morning drive, just so people are fully aware of it. So when I'm doing a calculation for a single-family dwelling, and I'm doing it for an exam, and the chances are it's going to be based on a standard method, because that's typically what they do on the exam, unless they state otherwise. And we will be doing an episode shortly on the optional method again. Okay, just a live stream for that. I do these from time to time, but again, making sure that for the real world, everybody knows how to use the optional method. I think it's important that people do know how to actually calculate loads. Some people don't, but I am a believer it's important, so I want you to learn. So we give you those steps to do that. But when you're doing a standard calculation, sometimes people ask, well, what about other loads that are not just the normal stuff that we would have in our list, right? So from time to time, I'll get questions from people that say, well, what about a microwave? Well, remember now, a microwave is more like not the countertop kind that you just sit on the counter. So that's already encompassed in the small appliance brand circuit. Okay? Now, whether or not you plug it in and you have other stuff plugged in and you trip something, that's a whole nother story. But if it's just something you buy and you put on a counter, there's no way as an electrician that I know what type of microwave you're going to buy. And most of those microwaves, the standard size is like 1,100 watts, things like that. Anyway, right? So you just, you don't account for that on your countertop. Now, what if I have a microwave that's over my range, right? Then that is actually fixed in place. And I would include that as an appliance. And I would figure that in my appliances. It's a standardized unit. It meets all the parameters. Now, some people say, well, why wouldn't I consider it cooking? Right? Well, it's not really in the cooking list, and I typically wouldn't take it at that, right? And it's also a rarity for you to have a microwave in a residential application that is going to be over 1750 watts, right? But I definitely would want to incorporate that as an appliance, right? And be able to utilize that as such. Other things that I think about is, people have asking about things like EV chargers. Well, I don't have to incorporate that in my dwelling if I don't know that that's what's going to be installed in my dwelling. But the National Electrical Code in the 2023 did add a provision. If you're going to be putting in an EV outlet, then you have a minimum VA that you're going to utilize, right? Now, it's a minimum. If you know what EV charger you're putting in, then it also says that you use the minimums or the rating of whatever the charger is, okay? And so whichever is greater, that type of scenario. So we have that new provision, and don't hold me to this because it is in the 2023. I believe that it's 7,200 watts, but it might be higher. I can't remember. Don't hold me to it. I'm just driving down the road. But the good news is now that is a provision in there. Now, don't get that confused with you having to add EV in every house. Okay? That's just if you happen to put one in, and this gives you a value to account for that. Now, if you know you're putting one in, then you're just going to use what the rating is. And if it's greater than what's in the code, then you use that in your calculation. But where do I add it? So under appliances in the 2023, it made it very clear in 220.53 that you don't include EV chargers in that list. I mean, it made it clear because people weren't clear, I guess. So you simply just take the EV and you take it at its value, and you do your normal calculation for the dwelling, and then you just have this miscellaneous loads that you got to add in. And that would be one of them, for example. You just add it in. And then once you have your total VA, you divide it by 240, and that's what's going to start your journey, searching for your overcurrent device and your conductor sizing, and the 83% rule that comes into play. And 310.12, if it's applicable, means you meet all those rules. And I think that's one of the big takeaways that people ask me all the time is, when can you use the 310.12, the 83% rule? And my answer to that is like it always is every time that the rule is applicable. In other words, if it's 400 amps or less, it is a 3-wire, 122 40 volt, single phase, all those type of things, then it is very much always in play. It's not exception. So you can use it. Now, it's a permissive rule, meaning you don't have to size your conductors to at least 83% of the size of the service rating or the feeder rating. I mean, you could size it full size if you want. If a breaker's 200 amps, rather than be 83% at 166, if you want to size the conductors for the 200, then go for it. I mean, if that's what you want to do, right? At the end of the day, you at least have to size your conductors to handle the calculated load. And again, if it doesn't correspond, you can go up to the next standard size overcurrent device. We covered that last night. So if you didn't get a chance to be with me on the live, and maybe you're an electrician out there and you're not really preparing for an exam, or maybe you're months away from preparing for an exam. I mean, you're like, I don't want to get into it yet. Do me a favor, just go over, get yourself a snack, get yourself a warm beverage, cold beverage, whatever you want, and go over to my YouTube channel while you can, while it's free, and watch my 2.5 hours. Yes, I know it's longer than a freaking movie. You can pause. Hey, if somebody out there wants to be creative, you can create a timestamp for each thing that I talk about. That would be cool. I should start doing that in my videos, put timestamps so you can jump to some different points. I don't really do that, but that'd be cool. If somebody wants to volunteer to be my timestamp person, send me the timestamps for each thing I talk about, and I'm more than happy to add that to my video descriptions. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? But I'm too lazy for that. as you know, when I do videos, I'm not one of those guys that do the pretty videos that, like all these other social media guys, they do the pretty videos, right? They edit them. I don't edit nothing. And that's what's unique. When you see people's DVDs and videos and things like that, it's always edited. I promise you, I know, because I participated in that type of stuff. When you see me on a video, it is unedited. Now, you might get this one hater out there who gives one thumbs down, but the reality is they probably never did a video of their own. They couldn't teach anybody anything anyway, and have no originality to anything they would do anyway, but yet they'll go on there and give you a thumbs down. Well, sadly, that's the kind of world we live in. I never give thumbs down because I think, hey, if somebody's got the motivation and the effort and the drive to try to educate people and give them, then I'm not going to do them this despicable thing by giving them a thumbs down. I just couldn't do it. At least they made an effort to teach people and educate people, and that means a lot to me. So I just can't do it. That's not the kind of guy I am. But if you want to learn something, going to get educated or something, dude, I encourage you to go and watch it. Yeah, it's 2.5 hours, and I have other videos there. I will say that I had one guy send me the text, and he said, Paul, you got to be the godfather of exam prep. I thought that was funny because I never thought I'd get to the age where somebody would say that, the godfather of exam prep. Like everybody teaches code, right? There's so many educators out there. Everybody, teaches code and teaches things like that. But when it comes to exam prep, I focus so heavily on it through the years that had somebody call me the godfather of exam prep. I got a chuckle out of that. I didn't want to. I wasn't going to share the comment, but I was like, okay. At some point, I remember when I was younger and I was working heavily in the field, bending conduit and all this kind of stuff and working hard. It was never a thought in my mind 34 years later that I would have somebody call me the godfather of exam prep. I was like, really? I'm not that old, by the way, just saying. But it was pretty cute. My wife actually got quite a chuckle out of it. But that is true. And that is the trueness to that is that I have retooled all of our stuff to focus on what I'm good at. I'm good at teaching you the code. I am long-winded, as you can tell, but I do break things down. And if I don't explain something, because you know what? I can't cover everything. When I was back in apprenticeship or back in school doing my training, when we would do a whole week or more on doing a standard method, and I did it in 2.5 hours, and I know there's people out there that say, well, I can do it in 10 minutes. That's because you understand the topic. But you have to be able to break things down so that other people can understand. And that's usually a different challenge for some people. They don't have the ability to break things down like that. And so I'm nothing special. I can promise you that. But I am long-winded because I do want to break it down. And yeah, I might forget to talk about something. I might forget to bring up example. And everybody's quick to jump on and say, oh, you didn't say EVs. Or, oh, you didn't say... To be honest with you, I can't cover everything. So I'm sure that I'm going to leave something out. But what I do cover is the basic fundamentals. Basic fundamentals that you need to understand as an electrician. Now, you might go out there and never calculate a service, but now you have just a little bit better understanding of how to do it. And hopefully my videos do that for you. So I'll wear the hat, the godfather of exam prep. For God's sakes, I know that anybody listens to this and starts ragging on me about that all over my social media, I'll know that you listen to this podcast. But I thought it was cute. I appreciate you all. Hopefully you learned something. We have a holiday coming up. I hope you spend it with family. Life is short. Enjoy life. You don't have to work, even though I push people. You don't have to work 24/7, 7 days a week. There is time to enjoy life, enjoy family. If I had to give any advice to anybody out there that it's inspire them, I will say that if you've got kids, cherish it, because at some point they won't want to be with you. They won't want to have anything to do with you. Hopefully that doesn't happen to you. But cherish those times because you can't get them back. Life is short. Don't work yourself into the grave. But when you're in that mode, give it your all. Okay? Appreciate you all. Till next time, stay safe. God bless. And I'm sure we'll talk before then, but happy holidays if I don't. Take care. God bless.